Hello, it's Alex and welcome to Hey Little Thrifter. Today I'm going to be sharing with you all the books I thrifted in October, and boy did I buy some books. I think I have 34 here if I counted right, so yeah, I'm a little bit out of control. But my excuse is that there were a few library book sales this month. We went to 3 of them and it's just that season. I think some of the libraries tend to have them just twice a year, usually in like spring and in autumn. So you just jump on these sales when you find them, you know, you snooze, you lose. So yeah, that's my excuse anyway. And some of the books were from thrift stores. I went to a couple of Salvation Armies and found some goodies there too. And yeah, this has just kind of all been a bit mixed up, so I'm not going to specifically detail where each one was from because I can't even remember. But basically, the grand total came to about $11 or $12, something like that. That was for 32 of the books. So it's pretty much like 50 cents a book is what it averages out to, which is just bonkers. So I was really pleased to find all of these. So before I get onto the mega book haul from October, there are 2 books that I actually bought last month. I got them through Abe Books and they just didn't turn up in time for me to do my haul in September. So this is Skin and Strange Angels by Kathy Koja. You know, I'm not going to stop talking about the cipher for a while. That was just such a phenomenal book and I was just really excited to find some more of her 90s horror novels. And yeah, these 2 I found pretty cheap. They probably ended up just being like a few dollars each and they're not in bad condition, so I'm excited to have them. Okay, so I mean, like, this is just a whole freaking box of books. Yeah, I may have gone a bit crazy. So the next 32 books are from library book sales and thrift stores, and yeah, just going to dive in no particular order. We have The Legacy by John Coyne. This one I immediately recognised the cover and I was like, yes. And this one is in like almost pristine condition. It doesn't look like anyone actually read it, but yeah, really looking forward to this one. This is about a mysterious legacy and several people who are trying to be the last one to claim it, I think. Yeah, I don't care. I'm excited anyway. Next up is Billy by Whitley Strieber, and I've never read any of his work before, so I'm looking forward to giving this one a go. I think this one is about maybe a child is kidnapped and kept hostage. It's probably not very fun to read about, but it does have really good reviews, so yeah. And this one has a pretty cool die cut cover with the step back art, so yeah, good stuff. Next up is Your House is on Fire, Your Children All Gone by Stephen Keesby. This is one that's been on my to-read list for a while, and the back says Shirley Jackson meets the Twilight Zone in this riveting novel of supernatural horror. So yeah, I'm in. I also got I Am Legend by Richard Matheson, which I haven't read before, so I was really pleased to find this copy. I mean, I hate this cover with the whole, like, it's a sticker but it's not a sticker, you're just forced to keep that on there forever. How rude. Yeah, but this is, you know, one of the classic vampire stories and one that I have somehow never read, so yeah, really pleased to find this one. Next up is Evil Whispers by Owl Going Back. This is about a family who discover some creepy local legend while they are on holiday in the Florida backwoods. I also have Crota by the same author, which I haven't picked up yet, but yeah, really looking forward to both of his books. Next is Sticks by Christopher Hyde, and I saw the spine of this one and was like, yeah, that's definitely a horror novel. And then I noticed it's from Playboy paperbacks and it even says occult beneath that, so I'm like all in. And the title, Sticks, is all made up of bones, so it's all going on. And this one is about I think a cave in Yugoslavia, and I guess it leads to like the river Styx. Yeah, it sounds great. I found a copy of Boy's Life by Robert McCammon. This is one I've heard nothing but great things about, and I believe it's a coming of age tale about a young boy. It's set in Alabama, and yeah, just looking forward to finally reading this one of these days. At the same book sale I found another one by the same author. This is Swan Song. This is another one of his that I hear wonderful things about. So yeah, this one is like a mad chunker. So yeah, don't know when I'm gonna get to it, but one of these days I really want to give it a go. Next is Children of the Knife by Brad Strickland, and yeah, I think this one's about creepy children, and yeah, I mean, who needs anything more of an actual premise than just knowing there's creepy children in it. Next up is Haunted by James Herbert. He's a really famous British horror author, and I read a couple of his novels when I was a teenager, but it's been years since I've read one, and I didn't read this one in particular, so looking forward to it. This one is about a haunted house, and I believe a psychic investigator goes to try and disprove the things that have been going on there, the claims of creepy stuff, but yeah, it probably turns out that it is really haunted, and yeah, I'm here for it. Next is The Silence of the Lambs by Thomas Harris, and this one has a pretty cool die-cut cover with the art inside, and I've never actually read this. I absolutely love the film and I've seen it many times, but never read the book, and I think this one is the second one in the series, so yeah, I should try and track down the first one and read them in order one of these days. One of my favourite finds is The Keep by F. Paul Wilson. This is one I've heard great things about, and apparently the film adaptation is really good too. That's been on my like to watch list for years and I just haven't seen it, but now that I have the book I will definitely read it first. And this was one, you know when you're at a library book sale and it's really busy, and basically they just have all of the books laid out on tables and you just kind of like slot yourself in where there's a gap, and I'd finished looking at all the books that were in front of me and hadn't found anything, but no one was moving yet. You know, you've got a person either side of you and you're just waiting for things to shuffle along, but you start glancing over to the books that are in front of the person next to you, and I immediately recognised this and I was like, mine! I was like, elbowed this lady out of the way. I didn't really, she didn't even seem to notice because I'm a ninja, but yeah, I was really pleased to grab this one. Oh, and what is it about? It's about, I think, Nazis in Transylvania, and there's some creepy stuff going on in a castle. Sounds amazing. Oh, I totally forgot. One of these was actually an outlier and I bought it from a second-hand bookshop rather than like technically thrifted, but I've forgotten about it. But it is Summer of Night by Dan Simmons. This is another one like Boy's Life by Robert McCammon that I hear wonderful things about. It's another like coming of age tale about a young boy, and yeah, loads of people have been talking about this one recently, so I saw it in a second-hand bookshop. I think it was maybe $5, so I thought while it's here in front of me I might as well grab it, so yeah, I did. And next up is The Nameless by Ramsey Campbell. I read The Influence by the same author just a couple of months ago and really enjoyed it. He's another British horror author that want to read more of, so yeah, I was really pleased to find this one. This one is about a young girl who was murdered, and the story picks up several years later when it turns out she might not have died after all. I also picked up a few novels by Dean Koontz. These were ones that, you know, were like a maybe, but they were at the book sale, bag sale day, so it was like they're practically free at that point. So I got Cold Fire, which is about a man who has been seemingly randomly saving strangers from dying, and yeah, what is going on behind that. Next up is The Servants of Twilight, which is about a group of religious fanatics who claim that this woman's son is the Antichrist. Good times. I also got Lightning, which is about Laura, who on the night of her birth there was a storm and a stranger appeared and basically saved her life as she was being born. And then some years later a similar thing happens, there's a storm and this stranger reappears and saves Laura's life. And the back says, was he the guardian angel he seemed? The devil in disguise? Or the master of a haunting destiny beyond time and space? And the last Dean Koontz book I got is Whispers, which I think is about a stalker. Yeah, and it's a great cover. I also got The Andromeda Strain by Michael Crichton. I believe this is more like sci-fi thriller, but it's just another really famous one that is supposed to be really good. So yeah, definitely want to check this one out one of these days. I also found a couple of John Saul books, and I've never read him either. I found Suffer the Children, which I think is one of his most famous ones. And this one says, a novel of unnatural passion and supernatural terror. And I think it's about some children who are mysteriously disappearing in this small town. Yeah, sounds good. I also got Comes the Blind Fury, and this one is about a woman who is being haunted by the ghost of a young blind girl who died 100 years ago. I also got My Sweet Audrina by V.C. Andrews. I was really excited to find this one. This is one I've been looking out for a while. I always see V.C. Andrews books in thrift stores, but most of them are part of a series, and I'm just not sure I really want to get into a series, whereas I believe My Sweet Audrina is a standalone. I think there has actually been a sequel written in more recent years, but I think you can still read it as a standalone. And I'm not even sure what this one is about, but I am really intrigued to read it anyway. I'd love to give V.C. Andrews a go, and this particular copy is pretty battered, but I was just so psyched to find it that I grabbed it and like screamed with glee. And yeah, it definitely needs some cleaning up. There's some stickers on here that I need to try and remove. But yeah, this one has a pretty great die cut cover with this beautiful artwork inside. So yeah, pretty stoked to find this one, and I'm really looking forward to reading it. Okay, we're getting there. Next up is Sybil by Flora Rita Schreiber. This is a non-fiction originally published in the early 70s about a woman with multiple personalities, and I believe this is a pretty controversial one because I think some of the, I don't know, the story behind the story, like the methods used in dealing with this patient were, I don't know, I think there was some messed up stuff going on there. I need to read up on it, but that's the kind of the vague notion that I have about this book. So yeah, it might still be an interesting read though. Let me know if you've read this one. And last up, I have several Stephen King novels, and I haven't really been keeping an eye out for his books because you can usually find them everywhere. It's not like a lot of the other ones I found this month that you just don't stumble upon very often. But I ended up finding a few Signet editions of his novels in a Salvation Army thrift store. And then later on the same day, I found a couple more in a different Salvation Army thrift store. So that was kind of random, but I was like, yeah, let's just pick these up. They were really cheap. And then I ended up finding a few more at one of the library book sales. So yeah, I now have like a mini Stephen King Signet edition set going on. I'm not going to say anything about these ones because they're already pretty famous and well known, but first up is one that is actually a hardback rather than a Signet edition, and this is Gwendy's Button Box by Stephen King and Richard Chismar. And then here are the Signet paperbacks that I found. Literally within a week of each other I found all of these, so that was pretty cool. So we have Skeleton Crew, The Dark Half, Dolores Claiborne, Misery, which is one of his books that I'm really looking forward to reading sooner rather than later. Pet Cemetery, and I do already have another copy of this, but it's a later printing and it has the, like, you know, now a major motion picture kind of label on the front, and also this one is in better condition than the one I currently have, so yeah, I was pleased to find this one. Christine, and this one actually has like some pages in the middle with pictures from the film adaptation directed by John Carpenter, so that's pretty cool. Gerald's Game, and this is the only one of these that actually has a portrait on the back. And last but not least is The Shining, and this is another one of his that I'd like to pick up sooner rather than later, and I'd never seen this cover before, so yeah, I was really pleased to find this one. So those were all of the books I thrifted in October. If you're still here, thank you so much for sticking around. Let me know if you've read any of these, or if you think I should, yeah, check some of them out before the others. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thank you ever so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and hopefully I will see you again in my next video. Bye!